is like, we're just bringing our text conversations to life right here. Sometimes what needs to be said to the people, Joan.
Yes, I agree, Liz. I mean, I think sometimes it's private, but it shouldn't be private.
I
It's like
know.
I'm losing my fucking mind.
You're losing your
And
fucking mind.
everyone
Yeah.
should know.
And you're in New York. I'm coming back. I'm in
Yay!
Minnesota. We've already planned some strategic slumber parties. Maybe we'll just do something nuts. I don't know. I feel crazy. So I watched intently. I know you were in and out. I was in and out today as well. But like, I just feel like there's all this pontificating on cable and all of this like, oh, this is how it is going and what the strategy was. First of all, I just want to ask you, what do you think the Democrats went in wanting to achieve in these 3 days? What was the plan?
Well, obviously they wanted to achieve that she will do away with the ACA. And, she will. So, and, I'm torn because on the one hand, I think they're right. That is really a big thing for, the electorate. And on the other hand, I feel like there's so much more horrible shit that she's going to do. So I was very torn, but that is what they came in to do, is just show that she hates it. She's been chosen by Trump to get rid of it. And, as she just kept shaking her head and being like, no, I wouldn't do that. We know she will do that. So that was, I think that was pretty good. But as you know, my basic thing is the fucking Democrats, they're just so cowardly in general. So they didn't really delve into, a few of them did, but in general, their thing was not Roe v. Wade or, voting rights, which was terrifying, which she was very, very terrifying about. So it was kind of odd. Like anytime any one of the senators deviated somewhat, he or she seemed to be out to pasture. And sometimes it was fantastic. And sometimes it was like, oh, well, wait, you're not just drilling down into the ACA. So I don't know. I think they had a strategy, but.
Well, it felt to me like they thought, oh, if we talk about the ACA, that's a safe thing that people will like. But also it felt to me like, remember when Republicans had to bring in the woman to question
yes,
Blasey Ford because they couldn't handle how talking to a woman. I felt like these Democrats were such fucking cowards that they were treating that about religion, right? We don't want to.
We're not going to hear about that.
We're not going to hear about religion because we don't have the tools to talk about religion in a way that's respectful and also highlighting.
My phone is right here. So if anyone wants to call me, if any of those senators wants to call me and call a Catholic, call a Catholic.
Call a Catholic, Joan Walsh, and I am a no more.
And you
Catholic.
too.
Yeah, but it's like
they're such cowards.
Totally seated that in the sense that
I know
it's the only party that's had a candidate and a president that was Catholic. And the Speaker of the House is like uber Catholic, and her strain of weirdness in this secondary group that she belonged to is bizarre. And my whole thing is,
and we're not allowed to talk about that.
We're not allowed to talk about that. And if you don't know how to talk about that, what's wrong with you?
I know, but they don't, because obviously, Feinstein was like, your dogma is heavy or whatever she said. It was just like, yeah, that's not good.
How about her today?
Oh, she's been terrible for 2 days.
Closing out the session by thanking Lindsey Graham for his wonderful way he did it and thanking her for being an incredible. I was like, did she thank coronavirus for being bipartisan? She was.
I want to hope that tonight Gavin Newsom is studying every possible, law book or whatever he can to figure out how he gets her off the fucking bench.
We're
She's
done.
amazing.
Die-fi, bye-bye is what I'm
Sorry.
saying. I know. But like, so my thing that I find fascinating, Joan, so in talking about her and her, because I want to talk about her religion since no one else is fucking gonna, apparently.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so here's the thing that I'm trying to wrap my head around. Everything, she didn't deny one thing, that she signed this thing when she walked out of her church that was
Oh, she would just walked out of her church. I mean, I signed
I just
things.
walked out of my church and signed this
I
thing.
sign everything when I walk out of my church.
And then, and then it turns out when she was like, well, it said, this about abortion. And she's like, yeah, that's what my church believes. And that's what I believe and all this stuff. So riddle me this. How is, and this is where I just can't get past it. How is it that you and your religious life is out there in the world, you don't deny it, and your tenets of your life and the religion that you hold give you your purpose and guide you to eternal life? So if you go again,
I mean, I wish I believed that, but
stay with me.
Okay.
So if you go against those tenets that you hold dear, and those tenets are how you get to eternal life, how do you take a job for 30 years on earth and tell people with a straight face, I'm going to put that eternal life shit aside to have a job for 30 years? You couldn't do that. If you believe that shit, you couldn't do that.
No, you couldn't.
Right?
No, I agree. I mean, it's such a hoax. I mean, I hate to use that word because it is a Trump word, but it's a hoax. I mean, it's obvious that she has lived her life according to very, very strict guidelines, and God bless her. I mean, on some level, let me just say, like, committing to a community, giving your money to that community, all that stuff is very cool. The gender insane stuff is not cool, but it's like, she should have to talk about it. Yes. She should have to talk about the good, as in, really supporting people, and the maybe questionable, as in, gender roles that are insane. And I cannot believe, and this is actually, I haven't said this or even thought this, but this is why we need more Catholics in the Senate, because there should be someone like you or me who grew up Catholic who could actually ask her these questions in a kind, normal, calm way.
And just say, that is not me. But I feel like
it's me. So it is me, but whatever. But it could be other people. And it's like, anybody who does that is going to be crucified, as we say.
Yes. But I mean, the eternal damnation piece is the part that I just can't get past, because the steadfast, marriage stuff and same-sex marriage and the steadfast abortion stuff, it's not like abortion, but it's like, if you have an abortion, it is murder. And if you commit murder, you're going to hell. So I can't support you, and I'm going to fight and do everything in my power to stop murder from happening and stop the murderers. And so if you believe that to be true, if that is in the core of who you are, in your Uber on steroids, away from the Catholic doctrine, Catholicism, like what is that? I just, and also,
and how are you not asked about it? I mean, they're not allowed to ask her about it, and that, I think, is really fucked up.
Yeah, and also them sitting there saying, listening to Marsha Blackburn and Joni Ernst saying, every time a Republican puts a woman up for the Supreme Court, the Democrats do this. I'm like, every time? The last time was 1981. There's no every time for you. Like, this is the second time.
Oh, I hate it when this happens every 40 years. I just hate it.
It's true. Every 40 years. Every
terrible when it happens every 40 years.
Get around to it. What are you talking about? And I just find it so interesting that also she laid herself, like, in like when Bill Clinton said you get a 2-for-1 with Hillary and I,
Yeah.
that means Hillary's open. That means Hillary's game. Bill's record is her record.
True.
You put that in, right? So when she says, my judicial philosophy is Antonin Scalia's judicial philosophy, and then every single time she's asked about a case and a precedent, good or bad, she turned it on these Democrats to say, well, are you saying I don't have a mind of my own? I'm not Justice Scalia. It's like, would you have come to the conclusion based on the framework?
Yeah.
Say it.
Of course. No, I mean, she is just clowning them. And I have so much, I was going to say pity, which I do have pity, but I have so much sympathy for them because they've all been in some basement being trained for these hours. And you can see it. And so she can't be pummeled at all in any way. She certainly can't be really pummeled on her Catholicism, or not her Catholicism, her freaky, totally fringe beliefs.
Yeah, the people of praise is not excellent.
People of praise, you and I, we've talked about our families, we've talked about being Catholic. We did not grow up in people of praise, and it's not excellent, and it's actually very modern. I mean, that's the funny thing. It's not what we grew up with, because they are a sect, and that's definitely what they are, who tried to get modern.
Well, did you read the AP story? There was an AP story about people of praise that came out, that they interviewed somebody who was part of people of praise, and it was a woman who had several children, I want to say above 7. And she said,
maybe I didn't.
She said to her husband, like, she had a conversation with her husband and say, you want to know what? I don't think I can handle any more kids. And I really think we need to have a conversation around birth control. And the conversation around birth control that happened was the husband went to the people of praise, Jesus whisperer, or whatever you call your guidance counselor.
The head.
The head. Yeah, the head. The tip.
Don't even like the tip.
And they accompanied her to all of her gynecological appointments to make sure she didn't get birth control. And so,
I mean, I think that's fine.
I mean, it seems fine, if you're if TI's your dad or these people. But I mean, it's just like, I just find it so bizarre. When she makes statements like motherhood is the most important job you can have, it's like, well, then take that job. Then have that job. Raise your children, do your thing, have your stuff, live your life. But to know that she belongs to an organization where, number one, you commit that your husband's opinion is more important than yours, and then the two of you consult a female and a male within this people of praise to talk through your opinions. That means now there is 3 people who I didn't ask to have opinions, that she's going to write opinions
in my bedroom.
Yes. And it's like, and everyone's just treating it like normal, and that she doesn't have to come through and say anything.
No, we are so whipped. I don't want to say any other word, but we are so whipped that the fact that these people, these Congress, these senators can't figure out a way to ask these questions is fucking insane.
I have to tell you, if he was a man, they would ask those questions. It's the reverse of Christine Blasey Ford. It was Democrats not knowing how to hold a woman accountable who brings all this baggage.
The tough thing is, Liz, I mean, we never disagree, but they fucked it up when she came across their screens last time.
Yeah.
Dianne Feinstein should have fucking retired. I mean, she's just terrible. But to say the dogma is heavy with you, or
dogma is heavy.
The dogma is heavy. I hate it when the dogma is heavy.
I mean, the dogma is heavy.
I mean, it's just like really heavy on me.
I know.
And Mazie Hirono, who I actually love, but she wasn't great either. And they needed to think about how to separate what they were saying from a critique of Catholicism, and they didn't. And so now they're not going to ask any of it. And, the people who have the fortitude to do it, like Kamala Harris, she ain't gonna do it because
Right.
she's running with Joe, Catholic Joe. So it's
Joe.
really Catholic Joe. So it's really fucked up because I've written about this for The Nation, and pretty much no one agrees with me except you, I know, do. But it's like she has to be asked about her, not Catholicism, but her really extreme, eccentric, insular, out there view of Catholicism. And
that dictates how she makes decisions. When you
that is supposed to.
Yes,
Exactly.
and she has promised, and she has made a pledge, because you have to literally make a pledge in this organization. She has pledged to
Covenant.
the organization. Therefore, it disqualifies her, because her entire pledging in the world that we live in has to be to the Constitution. She has already given of herself in her pledging,
right,
to the people of grace.
I know. And there are great people, who
on both sides.
For no, not definitely
Okay.
not. But there are great people who aren't Catholic or who whatever, who are just like, it doesn't matter. And even some Catholics who are like, it doesn't really matter what her pledge is. You just can't take a pledge or make a pledge, whatever,
Right.
like that, if you're
That's
going
right.
to be on the Supreme Court.
I know.
But we're
And
not allowed to ask that question.
Right. And even okay, let's take the Catholicism out, and then we'll let's wrap up just a little bit about the timing of all of this, and then talk about next steps and what you think is happening in the world. And then I do want to talk a little bit about your movie, because it's so fucking cool. So let's think about taking the Catholicism out, being a person who has been asked to do this, not 48 hours after Ruth Ginsburg has died.
I know.
And saying, wow, this is the most important job a lower court justice can have. This is like the dream. If I'm asked to do this in a super controversial time, I should really think about it. Okay. Then you say, I think I'm going to do it because it's really important to me. Then you've accepted it. Then you go to your coming out party that turns to be a Corona super spreading event. And you still
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, and you're still like, this is fine. I am such a careerist that all of this is fine. Like, what kind of person?
I know, and now she knows that Barron got it. I poor Barron. I mean, I guess it's fine. But
I mean, that's the whole thing. It's just like,
what
you don't even care that you are infamous now, and that your Supreme Court appointment will be tainted.
Right.
And that she could also just clown everyone, knowing she has the votes, that she could be that disrespectful, and that the senators could be that disrespectful, and that it all didn't matter, because she just knew that that she would just get on the court.
Well, but also they're not asking her about that. Like, I really think that's a fair thing to ask her. There have been some great moments of questioning, obviously. And there are some great Democrats, but my God, I just don't feel like they're actually venturing out into the kinds of things we're talking about, including that.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Hi, Judge. I know. I mean, I believe she had it. So she could be the super spreader, because we don't know how it spreads anymore.
Right.
Or ever. Hi, Judge. Like, that seemed like a really fun party that you guys had, but do you ever feel bad about the fact that,
all of this happened and your kids were there?
11 teen or 20 teen people got the COVID, What
Yeah.
do you think about that? Like, what do you think about that, what that means for our future as a
Right.
country? It's like no one even tries. And, I feel like I love them. I love a lot of them, but they've been so beaten down. They have like a tiny list of questions. It's about this big, and they just look at those, what's on the list. Sadie, really stop whining. Oh,
Sadie needs to go to the bathroom right now, so we'll wrap up quick. But I just feel like they knew.
no, we don't have to wrap up. She's gone to the bathroom. She's just
Okay.
being a little bitch.
Sadie.
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 She hears your voice.
Hi, Sadie.
Sadie.
But it's just they had a moment where they needed to hold her up as this, take her out of the equation. Democrats could have held Republicans accountable for shoving this, profoundly held them accountable for shoving this through really profoundly. I feel like they went halfway with it. This is terrible. You people are suffering. Here, this is happening. Two, this person who they picked is utter trash for the Supreme Court.
I don't even think she's smart. I mean, I'm sorry. No. I know it's great that we're together, so I can say that. Everyone's like, oh, she's brilliant, but da da da. No, I don't think she's even fucking brilliant. I think she's
really calculated.
I think we met her in our, Catholic girl, teenagehood, and she's not that smart. But she just got a lot of praise and she got a lot of advantages because of who.
She's wickedly manipulative.
Yes.
But truth be told, she has a strict judicial philosophy that many, many, many people agree with. The fact that she didn't come forward with it and proudly hold it up, just like Ruth Ginsburg did when she proudly held up her belief system.
And that was the best thing that Kamala did, at least yesterday. It's like, no, this bullshit that Ruth Bader Ginsburg sat there and was like, I don't know what I think.
No.
I don't know. She did not. And that lady just like completely grabbed that as though it were true. And when Kamala just laid that out, I was like, why didn't
didn't they all follow that? I know.
Why didn't they all start with that?
Right. And with Ginsburg, I felt like I remember that so well. And I remember thinking,
I do too.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg wants to get back to work tomorrow. And if that job is on the Supreme Court, that is where she wants to go work. If it's back where, it's back in the lower court, that's where she's going to go work.
Right. So whatever you guys decide.
You guys decide, but I have a job to do, and that is making the world better. And and that's the thing about this woman. I don't care. So I just feel like I wish they really just would have pointed out the frivolity and the terrible choices that this Senate made to hammer home to voters that in the middle of a crisis, that this is the priority they made and this is the person they prioritized. And I wish that would have been just glaringly insufficient as we closed out today, but I feel like it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. And also, we're both like baseball fans sometimes, but it's like, imagine if, your favorite baseball manager had to choose, unfortunately, it is his lineup based on seniority, but they don't. But in the Senate, they do. And so, God bless Patrick Leahy. He was fantastic, but he could probably coach Kamala Harris to say even greater things than she said. She was great. They just, or Amy or Cory Booker, it's just terrible that we have to sit there and watch these older people. And, I'm older than you, so we really want to be kind to the older people.
I know. And we're the older people for so many.
I know. And
we're just two old broads talking right now, talking shit.
Yeah, we're just old broads. Look at my hair. But,
great.
Please, when I'm that age, just get the hook. Take me
Well,
off
I know.
stage.
Well, we already understand that sometimes you step back. There's wisdom in what we know,
Right.
and then sometimes there's listening. Right now, the two of us deserve to have this moment.
Oh,
to
we
be like,
do.
what the fuck is happening? I can't quite believe it. When Lindsey Graham was like, I have confirmed every single justice who's ever been on the Supreme Court. I was like, I think that's true. I literally think that's
That
true.
probably is true.
Sure. All right, so we're gonna wrap out. This was so fun. Let's do this again because I feel like we just need like a
Yeah.
unleashing.
And, pretty much any time.
Yes. So tell the folks, because as we sit and need a decompress, you have produced an incredible film that is dear to my heart because it has to do with comedy and the Tonight Show, but it has to do with this incredibly specific piece that you unearthed, and you and Joy-Ann Reid have made this incredible documentary. Tell everybody about it.
So it is about the week that Harry Belafonte hosted the Tonight Show, which none of us knew about. And, even though I am older than you, but I didn't know about it either. And I was like, basically 9 when it happened. And my parents never told me about it, even though they loved both Johnny Carson and Harry Belafonte. And I was like reading his really adorable memoir, and I came across it's a whole chapter, and I was like, "What? You did what?" And MLK and Bobby Kennedy were on, and Paul Newman and Nipsey Russell and all these people, Aretha Franklin, like what? They were all on, like
all of these cool activists.
They were
people in the culture space who were the massive stars, and Harry did it.
He did it. Yeah. And he really resisted it at first, but he actually negotiated that he would be able to do what he wanted, and that, he would get to choose everyone he wanted. And they did have to look at who he chose, but they were fine with it. Or they weren't fine because he got some questions, but he got to do what he wanted. And it's just unbelievable when you think back at what was going on at that time. I mean, it was like right after the Tet Offensive. It was right after Nixon decided to run in 1968. It was just like all these things were happening. And Johnny, who we don't think of as very politically correct, which he wasn't, insisted on this happening. And so it did.
So well, where can people watch it?
Peacock. And
okay.
Yeah, so you've just got to download Peacock. You can do it on demand. You can do it on Apple TV. You can do it elsewhere.
So. I am super excited. I haven't watched it yet.
I know you have actually heard about it for so long. So.
I know, and I'm just so thrilled that I know how hard you worked on it, and I know how much it means to you, and I'm really excited that and it's also getting nominated for awards and festivals, and I feel like you're just nailing it. So it's always really fun to talk to you. I'm going to be seeing you in New York in just nary a few days, my dear.
Nary a few days.
Yeah. So let's pop in and have some more bitch sessions, because I feel like the world needs some catharsis sometimes. And
they need us. The world needs us, actually.
Joan Walsh, everybody. Reader at The Nation, CNN correspondent, filmmaker, activist extraordinaire, my friend.